There's a heated topic stirring the pot down in the Sunshine State right now. And when I say heated, I mean it's hotter than a fresh pot of grits, okay? Florida State Senate recently passed a bill by a razor-thin margin to change its child labor laws. The bill will allow 16 and 17-year-olds to work more than 8 hours per day and 30 hours per week without mandated breaks in between. The bill also removes work restrictions for 14 and 15-year-olds who have either graduated from high school, are homeschooled, or attend school virtually. Now, those that support the bill believe that this bill could help address Florida's issue of labor shortages due to the deportation of migrants. But those against the bill, well, they think it will have a negative impact on the education and health of young teens. In fact, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, a supporter of the bill, said that a younger workforce could be a solution to replacing dirt cheap labor from migrants that were in the country illegally. I'm Lily Hype, and this is TSR Newz. Florida House Bill 1225, also known as the Employment of Minors Bill, recently advanced in the state Senate by a razor-thin margin. The bill seeks to relax restrictions on minors aged 16 and 17, allowing them to work more hours. So, what's the reason behind this change? Well, it seems that Florida's job market is facing a bit of a dilemma. With the recent mass deportation of migrant workers, businesses are scrambling to fill low-wage jobs that, let's be honest, the average American worker isn't exactly lined up for. So now, enter Florida's teens. Yes, it appears that the state has found its solution in the form of teenagers who can now work longer hours and even later in the night. So now, what does this bill actually do? Well, for starters, it removes several restrictions for minors aged 16 and 17. They can now work before 6:30 a.m. and after 11 p.m. on school nights. Additionally, teens can now work more than 8 hours in a day or 30 hours a week, even when school is in session, unless of course their parent or a school superintendent says otherwise. The law even loosens restrictions on younger teens aged 14 to 15, allowing them to work under certain conditions, like if they've graduated high school or if they're enrolled in a virtual school program. Now, it's important to note that the changes to this Florida bill actually align state regulations more closely to federal child labor law requirements. Up until now, Florida was actually way more protective of its 16 and 17-year-old workers when it came to things like time restrictions. Because under the federal law, these things like time restrictions, well, they were only put in place for workers aged 15 years old and younger. The potential benefits are clear. More teens in the workforce means more labor for businesses, especially those struggling to fill low-wage positions. This could actually help boost the state's economy, at least in the short term. But here's where it gets a little tricky. Critics argue that this could undermine the education system. Fewer hours for homework, more hours on the clock. What happens to education, health, and school development when work becomes a priority for a 16-year-old? Another major concern is that this change in the child labor laws could mean fewer protections for these young workers, especially those in lower income situations. Currently, child labor violations are at the second highest rate they've been in the last 15 years. Historically, child labor laws were put in place to protect young people from being exploited in unsafe working conditions. See, back in the day, kids were forced into grueling labor, often for long hours in factories or on farms. The laws were meant to give kids the time and space to grow up, have a childhood. But now, as Florida's economy faces a labor shortage, the state is asking, why not have the teens step in? Now, some will say this is a pragmatic solution to a pressing issue. Governor Ron DeSantis is backing the bill, arguing it's a necessary step to address the labor shortage. The governor is quoted as saying, why do we say we need to import foreigners, even import them illegally, when, teenagers used to work at these resorts? College students should be able to do this stuff. But of course, the timing and the details are raising questions. The bill's critics are already worried that it'll push the teens into the workforce too early, potentially sacrificing future opportunities for education and career growth, and increasing the teen dropout rate in this country. Well, while Florida is doubling down on this policy shift, you can bet this issue will remain in the spotlight. And it begs the question, will this boost the state's economy in the short run, or will it come at the cost of Florida's future workforce? And then you gotta ask, well, will it end up being a win for employers or a long-term setback for education? I guess we'll have to stay tuned because, as the saying goes, the devil's in the details. So now my question for you is this. Do you think this is a reasonable alternative to the state's labor shortage or an exploitive shortcut to fill jobs that no one else wants? Let us know in the comment section what you think. And make sure to set your alarm to join me on Read the Room on the Shade Room's TikTok page this Tuesday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we'll debate this very issue.